Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's Niall, delighted as always to be joined tonight by Owen, and in this one we're going to be previewing a very intriguing super featherweight contest, non-title headliner between former two-weight world champion Oscar Valdez and the very dangerous Australian Liam Wilson. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this one, Owen. Let's jump right in. Hope you're well first of all, and I suppose the first question I want to ask you for this one before we get into really predictions, obviously you've got I was just looking before we started, like it is a very interesting division. Obviously you've got your champions Cordina, Foster, Lamont Roach, but besides that, outside of that, you've got the likes of kind of Sugar Nunes, Albert Bell, Mark
Mhm.
McSwell, Hector Garcia. Like it is a stacked division. It's a very exciting division. Is the winner of this fight the best in the division who's not a title holder? So let's say the best of the rest, we'll use that phrase.
Um, I think it's fair to say that, Oscar Valdez, we've seen followed when he beat Scott Quigg. He's went on a great run since, obviously losing to Navarrete, but he's been right up there mixing it with the best in the division. And then Liam Wilson being such like, a fighter where we haven't seen too much of him. It's a case of it's the intrigue of, he looks dangerous, but for for someone like Oscar Valdez, who's been in with such highly skilled operators at the level, it makes it interesting to see where level Liam Wilson's actually at. So I think for Liam Wilson, definitely, if he beats Oscar Valdez, you've got to look at it saying, although it's only one sort of massive name on it on his record, you have got to look at it as he probably would be in Oscar Valdez. It's just a case of getting back into contention again. I think this is a big fight for him. It's not necessarily a crossroads fight, but if he loses it, you do sort of think, okay, where next? What's going to happen for him, and going from there, sort of thing.
Yeah, I have to agree. It is a pretty high stakes fight for both men. It's one I'm really looking forward to, and of course, as I mentioned there, the kind of within the other names of the division, if you were to get the scalp of Oscar Valdez, it would put you highly kind of ranked at 130, definitely. And there's another man I neglected to mention at the start, Robson Conceição, who's also a very dangerous operator, who of course has that draw last time out against the king of the division, who's now moved up in Emmanuel Navarrete. Of course, Conceição also faced Oscar Valdez very controversially, was beaten there. So that'll be interesting. It's between them two for me, Conceição and the winner of this, whoever that may be, to state their claim as kind of the best of the rest and the number one contender, I suppose, as it is. So let's get into this fight now itself. Let's just jump straight in. Where do you see this kind of being won and lost, and who do you think wins? Of course, there Liam Wilson proved his worth last time out. A very close fight against Navarrete. Knocked him down. Knocked him down. Kind of got the closest to beating him that anyone has so far. And Oscar Valdez, you know what you're going to get with him. Always exciting. Come forward. Phone booth stuff. Just relentless pace. How do you see this fight going, and what does both men kind of need to do to get the win here?
Yeah, so I think you look at their records. Oscar Valdez, I think he can, in a sense, win this in whatever way he wants. You know, he's a big puncher at the weight. Liam Wilson's shown vulnerabilities and being stopped twice, albeit one of those was Navarrete, who is sort of on the pound for pound list. But he showed, I believe it was Joe Noine, who also stopped him. So he's shown vulnerabilities and shown he can be hurt. So I think for Valdez, it can be a case of he can outskill and outpoint Liam Wilson, or if needs be, the power can be found, and he can stop Liam Wilson. Then on the other hand, Liam Wilson, 13 wins, 7 knockouts. Again, he's shown he can be a big puncher. He was in the fight at sort of the first half against Navarrete. Before obviously Navarrete found the stoppage. So I do think Oscar Valdez will be too much in terms of sort of boxing skill for Liam Wilson. I think he will outbox him. I think he will be outpointing him. So I do think Liam Wilson needs to be looking towards the stoppage in this fight.
That's interesting. I do have to agree, though. I just think Oscar Valdez, for me, more kind of more battle hardened here, more the more experienced man by a long way. You know, even as much as Wilson proved he can be capable against Navarrete. I just think Valdez, as you mentioned, he has more kind of tools in his box to beat Liam Wilson here if he wants to kind of get in close or box a bit. I do think Liam Wilson personally needs to kind of use his advantages of his height and his reach to keep it at range. D does he have the power to kind of keep Valdez off him for the whole fight? I don't know. You know, Valdez, even in his losses to the best of the best, Stevenson and Navarrete, he showed a incredible chin. You know, he's so durable as Valdez. You look at the Scott Quigg fight. I know it's going back years now, but broken jaw, still dug in there, got the win. So I just think he'd be too durable for kind of to be for Liam Wilson to keep him off all night. You know, even though I do think Wilson needs the box and look for points here. So I think if I was to give a prediction, I'd say again, Valdez just too battle hardened, too experienced, and too relentless for Wilson. I think he wins on points for me, Valdez. I'm gonna say points win. Maybe drops Wilson along the way, but I think like the Navarrete fight, I think Wilson will kind of hold his own early and look good there. So yeah, that's our kind of predictions. One question I want to ask you before we go is we mentioned at the start, obviously, where their kind of standings within the 130 pound division are. Let's look ahead if we, well, for both men, but for Valdez, really, if we're picking them. The champions I mentioned at the start of the video, you've got Joe Cordina, Lamont Roach, Oshaki Foster, and of course now the vacated WBO title with Navarrete. Do you think Oscar Valdez, if he gets past Liam Wilson, can become a world champion again if in the current landscape of that division with them title holders? How would you think he fares against them current champions at 130?
It's a tough one because I think Oshaki Foster's now the name at the weight. Eddie Hearn behind him. I think his name carries a lot of weight now. Joe Cordina, I really like Joe Cordina. It's a tough one because they're all great fights. Maybe a bit naive, but I think Lamont Roach might be his best bet. Getting in there, and even the Robson, the Consensual rematch potentially again for the vacant WBO. So I think there's definitely he will be in a fight to become a world champion again. I would be if he beats Liam Wilson, which I think he will stop Liam Wilson late. I'd be very surprised if we were to not see Oscar Valdez in another world title fight. And I think he should look towards Lamont Roach. Oshaki Foster. Could we see him move up potentially? Joe Cordina. His career in the last sort of 12 to 18 months has been a bit all over the place. But he'd be looking for another big night, another big victory. So that's another good fight. But I think personally, he should look towards either the vacant bout, maybe like a Constantine rematch, or look towards fighting Lamont Roach personally.
I have to agree, to be honest, with what you said there. I do think we'll see him in a world title fight if he wins this. And I do think Lamont Roach will be the most favourable champion of the lot. To be honest with you, I was thinking about this earlier. I think if he fought O'Shaki Foster for the WBC, I think Valdez beats Foster. And I rate Foster. I think Oscar Valdez beats him. I think Joe Cordina, if he fought like he did against Rakimov, I think Valdez could beat Joe Cordina too. I just say, but Joe Cordina on his best day, I just think has too much kind of skill and speed and youth on his side for Oscar Valdez. But yeah, or even a Conceição rematch would probably be the trickiest of the lot for Valdez, judging by their first fight, which was so controversial. And of course, Conceição proved his worth against Navarrete as well. So that could be the most dangerous fight of the lot for Valdez. But I definitely do think Oscar Valdez can be world champion again in that current landscape of 130 pounds with these belt holders. So yeah, that's our preview and predictions really for the very intriguing super featherweight contest between Oscar Valdez and Liam Wilson this Friday, March 29th in Glendale, Arizona. Let us know what you think. Can Wilson pull off the biggest win of his career or can Oscar Valdez prove that he still belongs at the top of the mountain at 130 pounds? As always, don't forget, drop us a like on the video, follow, subscribe to the YouTube, and yeah, thanks again, and speak next time.
Pleasure as always, mate.